Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the KBEar Ink. This is the latest single dynamic from KBEar, and as I said in my initial impression of it, a very impressive IEM indeed. Just going to take you quickly through the box, although we had already seen it, but nevertheless, for those that didn't see it, just a quick run through the box. Usual KBEar presentation. The IEMs came over there. Plenty tips. Tips is never an issue with KBEar. Plenty tips. Cleaning tool, cleaning cloth. It brings a decent enough cable, although it is just a little bit too sticky. But hey, this is $69. So for $69, you can't say that we aren't well served. Yes, we are. We are well served. And I'll show you the IEMs now next. Well, if I could actually put this away first. There we go. Alright, so that's the box. As for the IEMs themselves, well, they follow, as you can really see, I'm not using the standard cable. I'm using an XINHS cable. As for the IEMs, they follow the form factor that was started out with the Diamond and then Vento Conductor in the T500. Well, in more models, but the T500 is the one I have here. They have also followed this this shell, which fits, at least me, fits nicely. I have absolutely no issues with the fitment of this shell. Sturdy shell. It's aluminum, very nice looking faceplate. The nozzle, the whole nozzle piece here is completely separate from the actual shell, so it's not a one-piece unit. It has a vent hole over there, as you can see, okay, and it has another vent hole on the actual nozzle stem over there. So we've actually got, let me just oh, come on, where were you? Had it a second ago. There we go. So we have a vent hole. Let's see if I can maybe just zoom this a little bit. Doesn't want to zoom. Doesn't want to. There we go. You can barely just see it over there. Just try a little bit more, see if I'm lucky. Oh, this is giving me some battle today, huh? Really fighting me. Okay, come on. Well, that's the rear vent hole over there, as you can see, and the other one, just barely see it there on the nozzle stem. As I was saying, fitment is fine. I have absolutely no issues with the fitment. I'm using, as you can see, the Moondrop tips. Well, these ones actually came with the chew, and funny enough, in the chew, I just, you know, the sound was fine. I just didn't agree with the stickiness, but in the case of the ink, I stuck with the spring tips for the simple reason that what I gained from sound far exceeded any issue that I could be having with stickiness and so on and so forth. So I put up with it and I left them in there. In my particular case, like I say, the spring tips are the perfect match for the KBEar inks. On to what we want to know, which is what does it sound like. And since I was quite enthusiastic when I was doing the pre-review of it, well, I'm sure everybody wants to know exactly what it's about. Well, let me just tell you what I have here to compare with it. Excuse me. I've got fair enough. Let me start by saying that there are one or two IEMs that are missing here, but it's on purpose. I've got the Moondrop Aria, one of my favorites. Not necessarily the crowd favorite. Let's put it that way. That glory goes to the Japo and Olina, which I also enjoy very much, mind you. But all of these IEMs here are standard. They're not modified, and that's one thing that I want to make clear. The comparisons here are done on standard IEMs. And the Olina is on IEM that, yes, in standard format, it does sound very good. It's very revealing, very detailed, but it benefits greatly from a little mod on the actual nozzle filter, either doubling up that filter or then changing it altogether out for a tension or for an oxygen filter. It gains tremendously from doing that, and that's how I have my Olina, and that's how I like listening to it. And in standard format, personally, I would go for the Aria, standard to standard. Okay, but that's me personally, not necessarily what other people will want. But anyway, I have the following IEMs here, and they are here for a specific reason. The Moondrop Aria is one of the go-to under $100, and in this particular case, all of these IEMs here, with the exception of one, are priced at around $70. So one of the go-to for $70 in terms of a single dynamic. I'll get into more detail just now. I've got the Untitled Chapter, which I have to admit that I wasn't overly impressed by it initially, especially because the Aria, still I maintain what I said, that the Aria is a superior IEM. But nevertheless, I found it that it grows on you, and that's why I've included it here. And it's one of the very popular, let's say, models for those looking for a lot of detail and a lot of clarity, and so on and so forth. Obviously, then this is the case of the ink. Over here, the IEM that is probably the one that precedes it, and basically the ink is its replacement, which is the KBEar Diamond. Okay, and as you can see, definite similarities in terms of the shell. Definitely the same kind of concept. And then finally, as I mentioned, I've got a Vento Conductor T500, which again uses the same kind of shell, beautiful in that blue finish and the faceplate, really nice. This is slightly more expensive. This is around $119 more or less. The KBEar in its day was around $65. This one $69. The Titan $69. The Aria $69. What are the ones that are missing here? The T3 Plus. But nevertheless, I will, if people want, I will give it its shot up against the KBEar. But you'll understand why I haven't got it yet. And obviously the Olina, which is the crowd favorite, let's put it that way. So what can we say about excuse me, sorry, I've got this little cough that's been nagging me. So what can I say about the ink? Well, the ink has got very much the typical KBEar house sound in terms of a single dynamic. Okay, it's a V, but it's an extremely well executed V in my opinion. Yes, loads of bass, loads and loads of bass. I mean, there's no lacking in that department. Yes, there is a recession in the early mids, which will affect some instruments and will affect male voices. But then the rest of the mids are pretty good. They can occasionally be harsh, especially when you start turning up the volume, and that's one of the reasons why, and now jumping the gun a little bit, my initial rating of 5, I'm going to drop it to a 4, and it's only based on that, and I'll get into it in a few minutes. And then it's got very clean highs in my opinion, very clean, very well executed highs in my opinion. So we are basically talking about an IEM which, as I said, has the typical KBEar house sound, a sound that the Diamond did extremely well, this kind of signature. If anything, perhaps a little bit laid back, and that could sometimes steal away a little bit from its detail retrieval. However, and having just said that, let's get one thing out of the way here. Where the Do Not Tighten is for those that are looking for details and cleanliness in the sound, and okay, where the aria is that but with added bass, so it will satisfy those that are a little bit, let's say, quote unquote, bass hungry. So two different signatures, more, I would say, more mature signatures, okay. And the reason why the T3 isn't here is because it's also kind of an aria, but less good than the aria. So okay, it didn't make sense to repeat that one. This is a V-shaped signature for those that want a very fun, engaging sound, period. Okay, so this is for people that want a sound which is not necessarily the ultimate detail characteristic, is not its forte, but and it loses to the aria and to the Do Not Tighten in that aspect, and even to its cousin, let's call it the T500. But if you like, a nice V signature with a nice powerful bass, which and this is why it's a nice V signature, because it's a clean bass. The bass is, in terms of sub bass, it's got plenty extension, plenty extension. It rumbles, and it rumbles in a clean manner. It's actually, the moment I heard it, and the thing that captivated me straight away was how well it could rumble. And keep in mind, this is an 8.8 millimeter driver, so it's a smaller driver than usual, but the secret here is its DLC diaphragm. So the fact they're using a DLC diamond-like coating on the diaphragm, this conveys this lightness and rigidity that will ultimately reflect itself then in that speed that we hear. So the bass is nice and quick, it's impactful. It is really like the feature that catches you, and the mid bass follows that initial rumble that we have with, like I said, with that impactness, with that tightness, with the overall attack. It's very the impact, the speed, and the texture of the bass on the ink are excellent. Superior to those two, although those two are not colored, so they are, let's say, balanced. More the aria than the Titan. The Titan, I think no, I consider it to be bass light. This is colored, definitely colored, but it's so nice. It really is really nice. In terms of the mids, it doesn't have the mids of the aria, period. It doesn't have the mids of the Titan. It doesn't. They are, because of the fact that it's a V-shaped. It obviously, they are recessed, and you notice that there's, you can feel that there's a little bit of openness missing, and the vocals, although they are good, they can be slightly recessed, and especially on the male vocals, they can be slightly recessed. Obviously, as well, having this kind of pulled back or pulled down mids, certain instruments do suffer as well. Certain instruments don't have that snappiness that you would like. Okay, but like I said in the beginning, and I'll repeat again, this is not an IEM for those people that are wanting correctness. This is not an IEM for those people that want detail retrieval capabilities. Okay, on to the actual technical capabilities. Oh, sorry, I forgot before I start that. The treble, it's clean. It's got good extension, and has enough cleanliness and to give some detailed retrieval. But because of the nature of the signature, it's not its forte, and the reason why, and the treble as well, is the reason why I actually downgraded my initial rating of 5 to 4, because although 16 ohms makes it a very easy to power IEM, yes, obviously it will benefit if you give it a dongle, or and there's a reason why I've got the SFXI here, because it feels like this was made for the ink. The way that the two marry is just unbelievable, and believe me, I tried my TK2, I tried my Megatron, I tried my NX7 in that crazy configuration that I have, powered by a BTR3K. I tried my DX3 Pro. I tried some other dongles that I have, Q1, a few other dongles that I have, decent dongles, let's put it that way. That puppy there, unbelievable, seriously. And it's actually also surprising with a few other IEMs, mind you. But with the Ink, the Creative is they are soulmates. that's my opinion. As I was saying, the treble is where then this comes down in its grading and its rating. Sorry, because when you start giving it power, the scaling just loses itself. So if up to a certain level the treble you can feel the treble is there, it's got energy, and once you start giving it power, it just goes off the hook. It becomes sibilant, it becomes harsh, it becomes aggressive, at least for me and for my music. And no, you want to turn it down. So if on the one hand it's again, mind you, having said that, there are some songs that because they don't have that much information up top, or because the upper register is not the one that is being more predominant, yes, you can tolerate better. And it's a pity, because in terms of the bass and the mids, it's an IM that invites you to want to crank it, give it some volume, and then it gets spoiled by that inability to scale in the same way, and it's a real pity, and that's why I downgraded it. I don't know if KBEar can do anything about it, or in the future model address that issue a little bit more, but I think it's a worthwhile issue matter to try and look into it and improve upon, because the driver in there is a decent driver, it's a good driver. So I think it's a question of just fine-tuning it. As for the rest of the technicalities, imaging, soundstage, and so on and forth, look, they're average. Average. Both the Titan and the Aria are superior in the rest of the technicalities. How can I put this? Look, imaging is fine, soundstage is fine. Obviously, you can get the same kind of imaging capabilities and soundstage capabilities. And this is gonna sound like I'm trying to bring this down, but no. But you can get the same. You can get the same or better from way cheaper IMs. Moondrop True is one that comes to mind. Okay, so definitely not. It's strong point there. And again, going back to how it just doesn't scale nicely. I did find as well that in certain tracks, which were maybe a little bit more bass dominant, well, not bass dominant, but they had a little bit more of a bass line, like certain track, like some stuff from I'm trying to remember the name now, sorry. Some tracks from like for Holding On from Porter Corchell. Holding On, it's not an extremely busy track, but you could feel that when you put the volume up, the bass just gets a little bit more cloudy. I'm guessing that that's mainly down to the fact that the treble doesn't scale nicely, like I was saying, and by not scaling well and becoming aggressive, then perhaps it also conveys down the chain, and you can feel that that cleanliness that you would like just kind of disappears, and things become a little bit more muddy. But overall, like I said, look, I've said it from the first moment. Technicalities are not its thing. They're not. Yeah, that kind of sums it up. As compared to the Diamond, and as compared to the T500, how do I rate the Ink? And let me start by actually showing you here the graph. I'm trying to get it. There we go. Okay. And that I think will explain a lot. So, the green line is the ink, the blue line is the T500, and the red line is the diamond. As you can see, all three up to 2K, they are basically copy-paste, okay? And you notice that in the base, the way it's presented, everything, they're very, 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 very similar. It's then above that 2K area that you start seeing things being done in a different manner. And as I just mentioned, the most energetic one is obviously the ink. And that energy, that little extra energy compared to the base level where it is, it's what, when you start pushing the volume, just scales in a wrong manner. I have no such issues with scaling with the T500. Is it down to the fact that, you know, you've got a little bit less, 2-3 dBs less energy? Is it down to that? Is it down to the fact that it doesn't have as much extension past 10K, assuming that obviously the coupler is reading properly? Is it maybe down to the fact that it's got a better quality driver even? It could be all of the above. It could be none of them. The reality is the T500, you know, I mean, this thing is very underrated, very underrated. I think not a lot of people gave it the love it deserved, and compared to, for example, the Believe, which is supposed to be kind of its brother from another mother, let's put it that way. I mean, I never heard the Believe, so I can't say the Believe is better or worse. Graph-wise, if that will account for anything, this seems to be superior in terms of the bass. And speaking to a few people that do have the Believe and that do have the T500, they are also of the opinion that the T500 is a superior IEM. Okay, even though the Believe uses the Beryllium drive and so on and so forth. But anyway, that's unimportant. What is important is how the ink, you know, does against them. And as you might have already gathered, against the T500, it is not on the level of the T500, especially because the T500 just maintains itself more composed, and I mean, it's double the price, so it should. As compared to the Diamond, is it an upgrade to the Diamond? I believe so, yes, I do believe it's an upgrade to the Diamond. Although, when you look at this graph here, and now let's look at just the red and the green line, you would say that the Diamond, okay, is less energetic, so it's you know, it's more composed, more can scale better. Or I would say yes, there is a certain truth to that, but I also found that it just seems comparatively overall darker. And the only place where the Diamond is superior to the ink, in my opinion, is in its scaling. Technicalities are about the same. So, you know, if you don't have it, and if you want to have a taste of this in a brighter fashion, then the ink definitely. If you do have the Diamond, is it an upgrade? No, I would say it's a side grade. Okay. So how do I then, or what is my final take then on the ink? Well, I think, and although I didn't put it here in this comparison, the Aurora, personally, I think it's an IM that, when you take into consideration the price and everything, it's superior to the Aurora. The Aurora might be more correct, although it shares the same kind of V sound or typical KBEar, you know, characteristic sound. It might be overall more balanced by not being such a big V, but the one that's definitely the most fun and the more engaging and will get your feet tapping is definitely the ink. So, like I said, considering price, taking price into consideration and all that, definitely this for me is a better IEM than the Aurora. As compared to the, let's say, to two of the options that usually I recommend. And like I said, I just don't have the T3 here, which is also an option that I recommend. This is not better, it's not worse, it's an alternative. So do I wreck it? Yes, definitely wreck it. If your thing is bass, nice energetic sound, if you're, if that is your thing, a nice energetic V fun sound, definitely the KBEar ink is the option for you. All right, and yeah, that's basically it. I'll leave links for the songs that I used. I'll leave a link as well for the creator for those of you that might be interested. And again, I repeat, this is the perfect match out of all the material that I have, at least. I mean, I'm sure there will probably be another dongle or another amp that will even match better or as good. But out of all the stuff that I have, and like I said, I've got a few, this was made. It's like a soulmate for the ink. Really, really, it matches with the ink, in my opinion. Let me put it to you this way. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, it matches the ink better than the TK2. And those of you that follow me know that I like the TK2. I consider the TK2 a really, really good amp DAC. I mean, it's really, really good. But as everything, it matches certain earphones better than others. And in this particular case, this does better than the TK2. Anyway, guys, it's been a long review. Don't want to keep you going here. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, like and subscribe. And ask away, ask whatever questions you want. That's what I'm here for. It's to answer and try and help you guys and decide and so on and so forth. All right, take care. Bye bye.